F-86 Freewing 64mm. The top corner rod on the F-86 is right there in front of this panel line, and it goes to this panel line, 1/4 of an inch under the surface, and it runs inside this foam here. It also extends out past there to the tip of the nose here. That's another inch, so that rod ends up being 13.5 inches, 2.5mm, 2 of those. And the lower side rods are going to put pins in just under these wood plates this side, and then sight down those pins to the front. I missed it here. Needs to be right next to that hole. And then drill along there until you get to the second one. So you're going to actually aim for this side of the wood plate right here, so that your rod goes on top of it. And you aim for the pin right there on the inside side. When your bit ends up in the corner of a piece of foam like this, you can use a tool to keep it in the corner like that. So your rod goes along the way you all want it. You can see here we have the 2 rods. They show on the insides here, and they come out, go across that wood on this side, and they go across this wood plate on that side, right inside from the outer surface. These are 2.5mm, and they want to come out to the front, which is about 3/8 there, so they want to be about 13.5 minimum if you're going to cross that plate as well. If you don't cross that plate, you want to put in another rod in here just to cross over that plate to keep it from popping out. And what we do with all these rods is put a chisel tip on them like that, so we can push them in there and have the chisel tip pointed away from the side to keep the rod pushing away, hopefully, from the side. We can start out with a hole that's 12 inches deep and possibly even elongate it by just pushing the rod in further, and then we glue it in the whole length. So there's the 12-inch hole, which is right around here, and see if I can feel it. Yes, I can. So it's good to mark it, but we know that it's pointed out like that. All right.
If we look up in the sky at that time, these 3 stones right here, they represent the Orion belt stars exactly as they were seen at that time.
And
The stones represent a map of the stars.
yeah, I'm getting that to go in plenty far past the motor by just pushing it. Let's see how it looks from the back. Still looks good. Alright, and it's only going to want to go another 1/2 inch anyways. Alright, that's like a 17-inch rod in there. Goes out down to here. 16.5 actually, and yeah, so it goes to there now. And this one's 15 inches, same thing. Have the chisel tip facing the outside, or better yet, mark it so that you can twirl the rod as you put it in. So we put a little piece of tape on there, and then we mark it with the chisel tip facing me. So that's my chisel tip side. So now I can twirl the rod inside there as I install it to get it moving if I need to, like this. There we are. Okay, so I'm at the 12-inch mark, I think. Yep. Alright, so now I face my chisel tip out like that, and whoosh. Let's see if it's coming through. No, and if it's coming through, no, and that's as far as I want to go. So there it is, 15 in one side and 16.5 in the other. 2.5mm, and on the bottom 13.5 inch 2.5mm. And the rear, we go in the lower corner here, and we aim for these 2 pins, one below this actually. We put it about 1/4 of an inch below that, or above it really, and the other one is just on the outside here, 1/4 of an inch inside the outside of the foam. And we can drill in like a 12-inch or 12.5 or 13 or something 2mm rod. Rod number 3 starts in line just inside the outer surface up here, just next to the center seam on that side of it. And we're going to put pins in on just the outside of this control rod and another pin on just underneath that control rod. And then aim for those 2 pins and drill in a 2mm by 11-inch rod. Alright, we took a piece of foam. It's 3.5 inches at the wide part, tapered a little bit this way, notch for a rod on each side, and we can stick a pin in it and tape that pin on, and then use that as a tool to insert this into the fuselage so that it acts as a spacer between these 2 rods. The further back you start, the wider the space is. So you can spread the rods and get the spacer on when it's far back. Move it far back, get it onto the rods, and then push it forward to tighten it up. And that'll hold the rods against the sides while they're drying. And after these top holes are drilled, you want to move them towards the center a bit in the front, and you can do that fairly easily by put your drill in there about 2 inches and then tilt it to the middle and use the drill. You can push on it with your thumb. Alright, see what's happening? I just moved the hole over by eating it with the drill. Okay, now my rod goes in and I can pull it towards the middle, which is what I'm going to do with both of them while it's drying. And then when the glue dries, it'll hold it in towards the middle like that. They'll both come towards the middle in the top. Alright, now both holes are done. So just do that, tape them together while the glue dries. When you glue these together, you make all these extend out and you drill them into the back of the nose and put the nose on with hot glue. Okay, so we got all our nose rods on and cut to length, and these are shaved in like this from the outside. So we drill holes from the back in where all of our rods are in the nose piece, and then work it, make sure everything fits the way that it's supposed to. Then if your holes extend out to the front of your foam, put a piece of tape over it where the end of the hole is, and then fill them up with hot glue from the back. Hot glue the bring around here or around there, and then back on. Okay, and the wings right in the front in line with this here line. It's a 3mm by about 16-inch, and if you're lucky you can get it to come all the way to the center. Otherwise, we're going to go in from here under each screw, so right next to the hole. So that's 2.5mm by, let's say, 3-inch rods, 2 for each wing. And if you want to go crazy on the Supermax, you can put another rod in the tip back here and go either this away with it or this away. And you can put in the Max, we'll have 1 spar, which is 11.5 inches, 5 3/4 into each wing. The Supermax gets a second spar up here that's about 4 inches into each wing, and maybe 2 inches forward of this one. This one's right in front of that tab, right at the top surface of the foam, right under the surface, actually. From back here, actually, and then up into this tail here after it's installed, a 1.5 by about 4 inches. That goes in through there, and then this is a 2mm by 10. Then you drill it on a far forward angle like that so that it comes out here, and install it into the fuselage when you're installing the tail and the horizontal tail. So you can do one of 2 things. Go from here all the way across to there in a single drilling element, and that would be 2 about 6.5-inch by 1.5mm rods, or go in like to here and then drill another one in this away from each side, and those would be about 3 inches or so. And these are 3, 4 inches, whatever you can get in there, 1.5 millimeter rods, just to protect the real tip, really.